So our rear brake band on this Ford FMX transmission broke. Had it rebuilt. You can see there's good material in there, but it broke, failed. These things are not easy to find. I found a gentleman out of Las Vegas, Sparky something, and I bought a total of, I think, 6 of these. I sent one to Cobra Transmission down in Florida, and they have relined it for us with new material, and we're going to replace. I've got one in here just playing around, making sure I know how to put it back together. So we're going to replace this one that has no material on it, just like you're replacing a broke one, and put the new one on. There's not much on YouTube about these things. They're out there, but if you need to replace a band, there's not a really great tutorial on it, so we're going to make one. So we're going to put a new brake band on this Ford FMX automatic transmission. I got one right here. Let me show you one thing. This little piece of metal right here in the middle of the screen right there, it's got a name. I'll look it up for you. That will come loose when you take this thing out. Now, if your transmission is out on the table like mine, it's going to fall down into it. But you can get it out. If it's out in the truck, it will probably just fall out on the floor. Servo, just set over here to the side. Okay, this is called the strut. There are 2 of them for the front band. One fits inside this little cavity here, and the band slips. Whoops, you can see they kind of slip in there together. This one fits in here smooth side like this. And this piece is right in there. See that little, see that? So when you apply your pressure, servo opens up, pushes on this piece, which pushes on that, pulls the band together. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with that one. The band is good. We'll put that all there. That's called the strut. I got to take this one off. Had to take the front servo off because the this bolt here won't go past the fluid lines. This is a 16 millimeter, or a 16 millimeter will work. Here's the first strut, short strut. There's actually a second one that fits down in there on a little knob. I'll show you. This strut sits right here. This band seats right there. The other strut fits there, just like so. And as your servo presses, it engages. This is a good band. It's not broken, but the material it's used. And the material's just about all gone. The little clutch material, kind of like brake pad stuff, it's all gone. So I just did this to see if I could get it work. But if you need to replace your band, here it is. That's what it looks like. One more item. You may have to pry this loose, but this tube comes out right there. Trying to make one. tight, it just slips out. There it went. Maybe there's an easier way, but okay. You. All right. Man, that went in a lot easier than it came out. Now this goes in and then it slips in. If you got to get it seated all the way up. Let me show you. There it went. Okay, finally got it seated. You just got to work with it. And as you can see, it's all the way up. That's as far, now that's as far as it'll go. And then your band can cover up the whole thing. If your band, like this little knob right there, if it's lining up, but there's a gap and the band is not sitting on that whole cylinder, then it ain't right. It's got to go all the way in. And we're going to put the rear servo on. We're going to put the struts in. We're going to line it up, and we'll see if we can't get it in place. First strut is this one. Sets on its little point there. All right. And here's the second one. It goes in right here. All right, I've actually got it up on its side. You're not going to be able to see any of this. But if I can leave that hanging out like it is, see, not pushed back but hanging out, then I can catch it with this. Boom, got it. Pin sits right there. All right, I couldn't show you this, but once it's in there, it's under a little bit of pressure because that band is being compressed. So I went ahead and laid it down and put the bolts back in. Remember, this was a special point. This is the blunt point. I had to go ahead and get it in place so that it wouldn't come back apart. And I'll tighten that down good here in just a minute, but you'll notice that's a tight squeeze. When I just lightly lift up on that arm, what happens up in here is that the band is compressed. There you are, you can see it right there. You can see how it's compressing the band. Now what I want to do, that looks really tight. Now let's put the front servo back in place. Oh, guess what? That's got to go back on. I'm going to lose that strut. But we know how to... This piece here goes right there. I gotta have it in place to be able to put it on. This gasket may stay in place. These 3 pieces here got to be lined up. They go in right here. All right, so I have played and played and played with this thing, and it will not seat up. So I'm just slowly going around the clock, kind of like tightening down a tire with your lugs. And it's pulling in with no force. You do have to put the end on it, the cone here, because the bolts go all the way through. But it's gonna seat up nicely. It just has to have a little bit on it. So don't go hard with it, but slowly but surely make your way around, and it'll tighten on in. Now, all right, got that in. It's seated all the way in. Took a little bit, but got it in. Now let's redo what we did earlier. I'll tilt the whole thing over toward me. Like that right there. Tilt that little strut out. All right, see if we can get it again.
So he's gonna put it back in, and then I can go inside.
Back up a little bit. Hold this servo in place. I'm gonna put this here. You see that? All right. I'm gonna pull this thing up, probably with my screwdriver. And we're gonna see if we just can't get it in there. And I did. There's probably a better way to do that, but that's how I did it. I just kind of work these tubes up in here. Be easy on them, but there it goes. A little tap. I can take these bolts. Okay, that's taken, and I can just kind of tell that's got some tension on it right there. You can see the band movement inside there. It goes under this clip. This little rubber gasket sits on this hole right here. There's a little hole right there. It lines up, fits in. Just a second. This little clip clips on a hose and clips over onto this one. Magnet down in the corner. Okay, got it put back together. I can still turn it with my hand, so I'm not in any kind of binds. Now it's a matter of getting it back up onto the truck, which won't be fun. Rerunning my lines and filling it back up with fluid.